Arriving in Dublin, Pope Francis wasted little time in tackling a major scandal. With critics accusing the Vatican of covering up decades of sexual abuse by its priests, he opened his two-day visit with a statement.
The failure of ecclesiastical authorities, bishops, religious superiors, priests and others to adequately address these repugnant crimes has rightly given rise to outrage and remains a source of pain and shame for the Catholic community.
He made those remarks at a government reception in the presence of survivors of abuse. This is after a report was released last week detailing decades of child sex abuse by clerics in the U.S. state of Pennsylvania. More than 300 priests there stand accused of sexually abusing more than 1,000 children over 70 years. It's the latest episode in nearly 2 decades of sex abuse accusations against priests. The scandal has reignited anger over the Church's efforts to protect abusers in Ireland in the past. When they met at Dublin Castle, Prime Minister Leo Varadkar called on Pope Francis to take action.
People kept in dark corners, behind closed doors, cries for help that went unheard. And these wounds are still open, and there is much to be done to bring about justice and truth and healing for the victims and survivors.
But Ireland is no longer the conservative Roman Catholic country it once was. Since Pope John Paul II visited 39 years ago, church attendance is down, and lawmakers have legalized divorce, same-sex marriage, and abortion. And since 2004, thousands of sex abuse accusations have been made against Irish clergy. Protesters gathered today in Dublin to demand justice for survivors. They're also calling for an end to impunity for abusers many say the church has long protected.
Trust will not be returned within the Catholic population from simply what Pope Francis will say to the Catholic population. He needs to make clear that actions are going to be put in place and what those actions are going to be.
Despite the challenges faced by the Church, some Roman Catholics remain optimistic.
I think the Church is really in a bad state at the moment, and I think maybe like alcoholism, you have to go to ground level to rise up again. So I think maybe at the minute it really is near ground level, and hopefully his visit to Ireland will do some good.
The wishes of one Catholic. But for many survivors of abuse, they have been failed and for too long. Later in the day, while speaking at the Festival of Families event in Dublin, the Pope stressed the importance of family within the Catholic Church.
You, dear families, are the vast majority of the people of God. What would a church look like without you? It would be a church made up of statues.
How much faith in church can be restored will at least partly depend on what Pope Francis says and does during this visit. Sarah Balter, TRT World.